Hey, this is Laurie Hock. I have an important topic I want to share with you in this message, and it's about relationships. Obviously, that pertains to all of us, right? We're all in relationship with other people in every season of our life. So what I'm exploring this week is something that's been stirring in me and that really rang true when I was recently at the Clifton Strength Summit with about 1,000 people from around the world. It was amazing. And one of Don Clifton's founding principles, now he's really considered the founding father of positive psychology and strengths-based development. That's a whole nother conversation. But one of his key principles in the strengths-based movement is that strengths develop best in the context of another human being, of being in relationship with another human being. That got me to thinking, and through my experience over the last many months, and just really recognizing that a core belief I've identified for myself is that relationships are developmental. Okay, now I get it. You may not quite follow me here, so let me explain. Relationships are developmental. That means that they help us being closely connected, being connected with other people on this planet through the context of relationship, even from the acquaintance level to the super meaningful, deep, intimate friendship. Relationships with others show us who we are. They offer us priceless perspective of who we're being in the world and how we're showing up. They can get outside of our own heads and all the limiting beliefs and things churning and talking in our mind and tell us how they experience us, how they see us shining, the greatness that they see within us. And you know what? I understand. I'll pause here for a second because I understand that not all relationships are created equal. I'm not assuming here that every relationship in your life highlights how awesome you are, how strong, powerful, unique, and courageous you are. It's not true in my life either. There's relationships in our lives that are taxing, that can feel like a strain, that don't come easily and certainly don't feel like they lift us up. They can feel more like a limitation than a lifter. But let me paint the picture more clearly here. By relationships being developmental, that can be seen in a multitude of ways. And what I mean by that is that it applies both in the positive sense of when people are lifting us higher and when people are trying to push us down. We're finding out who we are, what we're made of, and what we're willing to stand for in terms of standing for our truth in any given situation. So if you're looking around and doing a little inventory of your relationships right now, feeling like, wow, I don't feel like my relationships are calling me higher, you know what? How are your relationships sharpening you? How are they causing you to have the choice? How are you choosing to respond in those relationships? See, they don't have the final say of how you show up and who you're being there. No. You are the one that chooses who you're going to be and how you're going to respond to what life deals you. So this is a much longer conversation than we have time for today. There's so many things I would love to say about how relationships are developmental and in teaching us to, coexist in this interdependent state of really leveraging the support in a meaningful way in our lives, because we need each other. We were designed to need one another. But the way I want to take it in the next few minutes is really identifying what I have named as 3 distinct perceptions of relationships. Now they all start with P's to make this simple. And these are my thoughts around this subject of how relationships help develop us. So the first we'll explore are the perfecter relationships. Now, I'm not implying that you have to be perfect here. I'm implying that they helped perfect our potential. They help us, it's like an iron sharpens iron sort of relationship, where we really have this mutual connection and care for one another of allowing each other to be great in one another's presence and allowing us to bring our full self freely and powerfully so we can experience that of ourselves being that and experience that of the other as well. And choosing to go after it, to go full and live and lead all out in that sense of not feeling like we have to hide or hold back, but allowing ourselves to be connected in a way that probably doesn't happen in a lot of our relationships. But when we do, we perfect one another's potential. It's so beautiful. I have some really key friendships and relationships in my life right now that I didn't have for a long time. It's a real gift that I celebrate now, but that are perfecters of my strengths, of my talents, that their feedback of how I'm showing up in my life and how it's impacting and inspiring them and challenging me in various ways means the world. I got a text from one of them today. I had made a specific decision and communicated that out, and he sent me a text today that said, wow, you are so courageous there. Thank you so much for leading me in that way and showing me what I need to do too. Wow, that was awesome. By me showing up in a big way, it made a big difference for him and inspired him to do the same. So, wow, that's what I'm talking about, perfecter relationships. They show us who we are. Do you hear that? I didn't think my actions were that remarkable, but hearing them through his lens showed me what I did was really significant. You see, this reminds me of a conversation I had with a colleague last week, and he was sharing with me this little story about how most people are standing on top of a whale fishing for minnows. And the metaphor that really creates is that we're standing upon the greatness of who we are, but we're clueless as to the magnitude of what we already have within us. So we're standing on this whale, fishing and piddling for the tiniest of all catches, a minnow. Wow, the perfecter relationships help us see the whale within us, the whale and the rock that we stand upon, the hero we already are. And they allow that to be sharpened. Okay, so that's the perfecter. Now the second one that I categorize is into the pretender relationships. My perspective on this is really quite clear. There are relationships where we feel like we have to pretend, where we don't feel like we're allowed or have access to being who we really are. Whether it's that other people can't handle it, that other people don't invite it, that other people don't know what to do with it, that other people don't welcome it, or that they seek to do everything they can to squash that. There's a number of reasons why they might be being that way based on their own experiences and limiting beliefs. But you know what? What I've come to learn, nobody determines who we're going to be or how we're going to show up in any situation or relationship except us. We're fooling ourselves if we think it's their fault. We're kidding ourselves if we think they're not allowing us to be who we are. That's a huge misconception that it's their responsibility. We need to take ownership for that ourselves. And when we choose to be powerful, to be fully seen and express ourselves as we are, no matter their response, but when it's from a place, when we're coming from a place of care and love and pure intention, that's really developmental. That's when we learn to stand, even when it's not invited or accepted. Who are you going to choose to be when they don't embrace your greatness? When they can't see you for who you really are, and they want you to cater and bow down to what they expect you to be so that they can continue to feel comfortable and confident. You see, it's in these relationships that I think we might develop the most. It's by far the most grueling and the most challenging, and the other ones, they can feel much better, even though they're hard as well. The perfecter, that's challenging. But the pretender, as I look and inventory my own life, yes, there's some relationships right now where I've identified, gosh, I feel like I'm the pretender there. I'm not I'm not able to be my full self there. And you know why? Because I haven't allowed myself to be. They're not the issue. It's me allowing myself to diminish my value or my sense of self, and I'm playing into their hand. But you know what? It's time to take a stand for me. It's time to take a stand and be my full self wherever I go, whoever I'm relating to or connecting with. I'm not going to let other people define who I'm going to be. Yeah. I encourage you to do the same. So the final one I want to share with you is what I call the Penthouse Relationships. This one, I'm really proud of this one, because when I looked at my own life, that's where all my material comes from, is my own journey. Let the cat out of the bag there. Here you are. Welcome to my life. That's where my revelations emerge from, is my commitment to growth and this constant evolution into a higher sense of my potential. Okay, so as I was looking at my own life and realizing, wow, yeah, there are people in my life that they see me at the penthouse level, even though I can't yet. I can see myself in a lot of ways, but there are relationships we have that we're blessed with, hear me on this, that call us higher. They see us as who we really are, not who we feel we are. Let that one sink in. See, as I analyzed this for myself, this came fresh off of probably the quest of the last 4 or 5 months, where I've been at a multitude is a little overstated, a number of events where I didn't know people. There were people coming from all different states and countries, and I was going to have my own personal development experiences and grow me so I can grow the people around me in a bigger way. And this came forth for me when a number of people at every event like this that I've attended the last few months have come up and told me how memorable I am and how much I stand out and just how unforgettable I am. The huge wow impression that I make. Now, after the 4th person in a row tells you that in 2 days, it's like, wow. I mean, it's humbling, it's honoring, it's all these wonderful things. But it really hit home when I did an inventory of why that feels so surprising to me. And what I found kind of disturbed me, to be honest. I realized these are penthouse people. And I didn't even know them that well yet. They were barely at the introduction acquaintance level. But they saw me for who I really am, not who I feel I am. I know I have a big calling, a high calling. So do you. But we also just feel kind of ordinary and normal, right? We've lived with ourselves our whole life. We may not feel that extraordinary or that remarkable, but when from the lens of other people and letting ourselves be open to how they experience us and receiving that feedback, I believe we see who we really are. See, Penthouse can feel so presidential, so prestigious, so beyond what we may feel we are. But I'm here to tell you that they see the truth. They see a higher truth than we can for ourselves. And that's why we need them so desperately. Because they show us what we can't yet see in ourselves. And they call us higher in doing that. Because the penthouse is where you belong. The penthouse is where we belong. We're great and valuable, unique and remarkable, world-class in our own ways. And we belong with the greats. We do. So I hope and pray that you have penthouse relationships in your life, even if just through a brief comment in passing at an event with 1,000 other people, like my recent experience was. It leaves a lasting impression. And it shows us what the world really sees in us. And through that, we can gain a higher sense of understanding what's really possible for us and the mark we can leave on this world as well. Wow. So there's my thoughts about how relationships are developmental. It humbles me to think that you've heard my thoughts and you've listened to this fresh piece of my heart. I invite you to take an inventory of your life and categorize the relationships around you into the three categories we've talked today: the perfecters, the pretenders, where you feel like you have to pretend, and the penthouse. Where do those fit? What holes do you have? And how will you choose to be different in those relationships to allow your full self to come forward more clearly and confidently? Be courageous. That's what I see you are. Bye-bye.